The new release from this past week that I was dead set on going to see was Hokum, which is directed by Damien McCarthy, who did Caveat and Oddity, which I've spoken about previously. This is coming starring Adam Scott, Peter Coonan, David Wilmot. It's about a horror writer. This film kind of gave me like Shining isms to it, where it is about a horror writer that's traveling to this Irish inn to kind of scatter his parents' ashes. He's also in the midst of finishing a book trilogy, so he's trying to toil and handle that, but he's unaware of the property being potentially haunted by a witch. And especially this honeymoon suite that is something that is basically blocked off from all of the visitors of this inn. I really was excited. I think the trailers have been great, and not to bury the lead too much, this movie was, I think, really well directed, well written. It's not the scariest thing I've ever seen, but it uses its scares really effectively. There are some of the scares do boil down a little bit into like jump scare territory, but it does it so well that it didn't piss me off. Whereas some films, a lot of like the Conjuring universe or Annabelle films, they kind of rely on jump scares. This film, it uses them, but it works. I think Adam Scott plays a really refreshing character where he is a writer, and as the lead character, he's almost just 100% unlikable at the very start. Like, you're kind of relating to him just with the struggles he's going through as the film kind of gradually presents things and reveals things, but he is outwardly just the biggest asshole and narcissist to people. And I think I was really blown away by the balls of the movie to try and convince me that eventually I'm gonna have to care about this character. Because some movies, I'll write that character off of like, no, I already don't give a shit. You don't deserve good things. You're gonna get stuck in a shitty situation. In like typical horror movies, oh, you're the douchebag? Yeah, you should die. This dude's an asshole in this movie. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, you're an asshole, but I'm starting to see where you're kind of coming from. Not that everything you're doing of like burning a bellhop's hand is 100% justified, but I kind of see where a lot of your frustration lies and where it's kind of boiling out from. So I really like the performances. There's an aspect of this film where it is kind of like a chamber piece. We have a small list of characters, maybe 5-6 characters, and Adam Scott. Adam Scott's character getting locked in this honeymoon suite pretty early on in the film and having to figure out a way out, but also he's trying to figure out more about this mystery of a missing girl. Is there this witch aspect that he's heard rumblings about? I was just really taken by this film, and I never fully knew where it was going. It's not the most unpredictable thing in the world, but I just went on the ride of watching this movie, and I think it was a great kind of character study. Yes, with horror movies and like the elevated horror genre, sometimes it's like we're gonna talk about grief and look at grief or regret and stuff like that. And like, yeah, it has notes of that, but I think it's done so like poignantly and in a way that I found to be really refreshing, especially how his writing kind of reflects how he's feeling and how you see that at least in the bookmarked, the beginning and the ending of the film of him working on that cap to his trilogy of I forget. I don't remember what the name of the trilogy was.
It's just like the Conquistador kind of adventure stuff.
As he's wrapping up and just the nuance in that ending of that book, and I'm like, like I left the theater thinking about this movie, and it led me into a thing where I was going to see a movie the next day in the theaters. I was going to try and either go see Michael or I was going to try and see Fuse, and I found out Fuse wasn't showing near me. But it's led me into the experience of watching this movie and sitting with it has made me realize I need to watch less movies, which is not a take that I have ever really thought about. I think sometimes there's only so much RAM storage I have up here, so I need to kind of be a little bit more particular about what I watch and then let them breathe a little bit. I remember like when I watched The Godfather, that was maybe the only movie I watched that week, the first time I saw it. And now it's my favorite movie of all time. I think I need to allow movies to sit with me a little bit longer. If I stack them too fast, I lose them. And that, which kind of happened a little bit last year as I was watching so many movies and going to the theater so much. I'm going to still try and see 2 movies a week, but seeing Hokum and just letting it, that was the last movie I saw this week. Granted, that was, Friday night. I've been able to just sit with it since then, and I've loved it. It was a great watch. I really enjoyed it. It's already towards the top half, it's in my top 5, I think I'd say, of 2026 so far. It's just a really effective movie with good performances, good character work, and some scares that I was just like, okay, it's not like the scariest movie in the world, but there are some moments that I was like, okay, that part, fuck that, hate that. Mm-hmm. And it really worked for me. So I was a big fan of this movie.
Yeah, I like that kind of analysis of letting movies sit a little bit more too, because I definitely have thought about this movie a lot. It was on both of our top 10 most anticipated for the year, and I thought the marketing was really good, especially that first little teaser trailer that was like 40 seconds that just had a very like shocking within like 5 seconds kind of jump scare, but I think really well filmed and well executed jump scare. Yeah. So I agree. I really like this movie. I think right now it's my second favorite of the year, maybe second or third. But I think to like your point of Adam Scott being this unlikable character, I think he's the perfect person to do it because we've seen him in so many likable roles in Parks and Rec and even Severance to a certain degree where you're kind of rooting for that character. He's just very much like... They do a good job of showing him being kind of... He goes to this inn in like Ireland, I think it is. And... he's getting away just to write this book, to finish his book, and they show him kind of being a dick to everyone, but then there's a great scene of just him going out to the woods with his parents' ashes that you learn a lot just from the visual nature of that scene and his relationship with both his mom and his dad and how he does it, and there's no dialogue, and it's really smart filmmaking, and that's a moment where it's you connect with that character amidst all this other kind of shit that he's doing that you're like, all right, you're kind of an ass, but I want to know why. I want to know why you're doing that. And so I want to get into spoilers a little bit because I think that's a big part of why I like this movie a lot. So if you haven't seen Hokum, we both recommend it. Yeah. It's a very good movie. I think that there are also some very good scares in there if you're looking for... If you love jump scares in horror movies, there are some good ones. I think that they just happen to be well played in this movie.
Yeah. I will say it's... Any trailer that you see for a movie that says this is the scariest movie of all time, immediately write that off as just them trying to market. Because this movie like almost plays out more like a thriller at times than it does a horror film. Or like a mystery film. Because he has to try and figure out how the fuck he's going to get out of this honeymoon suite. How is he going to make it past this potential witch and stuff like that. So I get why it's marketed as a horror film. It is a horror film, but it's not a very scary... Like, it's horror film clothing for a... character study and a thriller mystery, but it's not the scariest movie you're ever going to see. There are some good scares in it, though.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, and I'll talk about Oddity in a second, too, because I watched that for the first time this week, but Damien McCarthy, he just, I don't know, the way that he presents things scare me more that even aren't, like, horror scenes, really, because there's an early scene in this movie where Adam Scott, he's drinking at the bar, and then he goes to bed, and the hospital staff come back in, and he's just hanging in his room when they open the door. That's terrifying.
The way that was shot, that got me too. I was like, fuck.
Like that's not a jump scare. It's not a demon. It's not anything. It's just like
so matter of fact.
It's like oh fuck, this is real. Like
there
this is. Yeah, it's there, and so stuff like that really works for me in this movie. But as he gets in and he's trying to figure out what happened to this missing. Fiona, I think her name was, in the the hotel staff. He's figuring out what happened to her, and he gets down to the honeymoon suite, and he gets trapped in there. And there's just so much great tension, even with like the presence of this witch. And they establish that if you draw a circle with chalk, that you can be... It's like the sea bear circle from SpongeBob.
It's a protective barrier.
Yeah. Which I'm fine if you establish those rules in the movie and stick to them. Cool. Yeah. I'm fine with that, of however you want to do that. But even just like the witch is coming through and her hand's coming through the door and he's trying to get the circle drawn and she's coming through. Like, it's just good tension. It's scary. And there's good visuals of the... It's in that teaser trailer, but like the dude with like the kind of rabbit ears or whatever that's on the TV, like that's such a good jump scare in here. And there's just, I don't know, a lot of really good tension that I appreciated, but it kind of leads to him going down in this dumbwaiter and going down to the tunnel and everything. And it all sort of coalesces into him dealing with the grief of killing his mom when he was a kid, accidentally with a gun. He was just playing around with his dad's gun. It goes off. He killed his mom. Leading back to that ashes scene, where he very gently places his mom's, and then he pours out his dad's very aggressively because of what happened after he killed his mom. And obviously, like, even
repercussions of killing a man's wife.
Yeah, and like you even understand the dad being frustrated with a son for doing that. So it worked for me really well there. But there's just a great scene of like these kind of demons and witches, whatever, like dragging people to whatever, the underworld or whatever they set that up as.
They don't explore it too much, which is to the film's benefit.
Yes, 100%.
It keeps it scary. It's way freakier. It's way more scary. I really appreciate when films are just like, you can film it. And it's going to be worse.
Your imagination is going to be scarier than what we show you. And there's just a lot of teases throughout the movie of showing his mom as a ghost, kind of comforting him. Like, initially, I think she kind of scares him a few times in the movie.
Yeah.
But then towards the end of the movie, she comforts him and just, like, puts her hand on his chest and is like, it's okay. Like, it's not your fault. It's fine. It was an accident. It's okay. And it's just like him, amidst all this horror stuff, dealing with his grief, which it is that elevated horror a bit, which, you know, has been very popular the past decade. But for me, it really worked because, and we kind of get to the end of the movie, the hotel goes on fire, he gets out of there, somebody comes in and saves him, and then Albie, the, like, bellhop, he comes in and he's like, hey, actually, you were kind of a dick to me and burned my hand, so I poisoned your flask with some of this, like, mushroom-tripping liquid, and so it presents this idea of, did any of that shit happen, or was it all in his mind, and was he just in his hotel room, on his bed, just tripping out, dreaming about going into this honeymoon suite, which, I mean, very heavily implied that none of it was real, and it was just him, and then the fire started or whatever, so... But again, it's just kind of like that conversation coming out of the theater, like, what do you think happened? Like, if you're with people.
How do you view it?
Yeah, and I think that that's what elevated this movie, because I really liked it throughout all of it. I'm like, this is good. There's some, like, for me, some good scares that kind of worked for me, and I'm like, I like it. I like the atmosphere of it. I like being in this room, kind of a video game almost, of figuring out how to get to this door, how to do this thing to get the dumbwaiter to go down, and all that stuff. But then that really elevated it for me. And then, especially that book ending that you talked about with this, you know, writing his novel, and you see it at the beginning and the end of, like, they're trying to, a father and son trying to break open this bottle with a map in it, and he's like, I don't have anything to break it on, I'm going to use my son's head to break it open.
Something hard that's going to break this glass.
Yeah, and then he's like, all right, no, son, you need to do it. Son throws it away at the end, and then they hug, and then you see the bottle next to, like, a skull over the next dune. Which I really liked. I think that's a perfect thing, playing into the grief that this character was going through, of just kind of, you know, the thing that may guide you into your next step in life may not be the most obvious, whether it's throwing away a bottle in a desert in a fictional thing, or going to an inn and retreating away and dealing with your trauma and dealing with your grief. It may not be obvious at first, but it'll keep you going, keep you staying hopeful, and it'll kind of work out for you in the end. So, just a lot of things that in those last few minutes of the movie really worked for me.
Yeah, I was really surprised just at how big of an impact the ending kind of had on me. And how well what he's writing obviously plays into what he's experiencing in the room, and how he experienced this entire, like, chunk of situations within this honeymoon suite at this inn. Of he went there for a specific purpose of dumping the ashes, and then also to figure out his ending, but he's just been encountering and grieving throughout that time, and been able to find a solution that he wasn't necessarily seeking out, and how that ties into the bottle ending up right next to his skull, them realizing that, hey, I shouldn't use you as a means to an end. Like, that's not the way that this works. We are each other's solution. We can figure this out, and then, it will work out. So I really liked it. I have to say, there's not a lot of movies, and I talk about this with horror films specifically, there's not a lot of movies that scare me, or a lot of scenes that I remember recently that have really rocked me. There is a shot, and I don't want to give too much away, but it does involve the witch, and it involves the dumbwaiter, and it's just so, again, matter of fact, presented, like, similar to when you see Adam Scott hanging in his room. It just is just presented so plainly, and it was like, oh, fuck, I hate that. Just, like, there was a couple of times where they really got me, but this movie, I think, was just so interesting. And not only that, it is a small cast of characters. They do a good job of endearing you to the other surrounding cast members. I think it's Jerry, who is the guy that potentially killed his wife. Everyone kind of maybe knows that he killed his wife, but they don't know the reasoning behind it, or what the circumstances of that was. I I like his presence in this, and I like how that is the only person that he really, aside from Fiona, briefly, the only person that Adam Scott's character can really, like, powwow around and, like, hang out and get an understanding as to, like, this inn and the people in this small area. Like, there is also a couple of good moments of humor in this film that help to break it up. As Adam Scott's arriving to this inn, he sees a man outside with a crossbow cleaning up dings on a car because he shot a goat, I think it was. Because the goats randomly just will stand on top of the car and be loud. And then there's a shot later on of just a goat back on top of that car, and I laughed out loud at that. I was like, that is so fucking funny. I really am impressed with Damien McCarthy's work. I haven't seen Caveat, but I have seen Oddity, and I really did like that movie, and I thought that was a really refreshing movie. This movie, again, it's one of the best horror movies I've seen. It is similar to, like, when I mentioned I go and see a lot of horror movies in theaters just because I'm looking for a late night with the devil. This is that. This is a late night with the devil for me. It's just that I feel like this one has a little bit more... I feel like I've seen the marketing for this one a little bit more, so people are a little bit more tipped off. The theater I went to was packed for this. Granted, it was at the main cinema, which is more of an art house theater in Minneapolis, so people that go there are people that watch movies a lot. But it was really nice to watch this with a big crowd. Some people were really reacting to the scary bits, like this was like an Annabelle creation type situation. Like, no, we're not here for that. We're here for like something really scary, but also something more. So it's a really good movie. I'm just, like, so relieved it was good. For how excited I was for this, how high it was on both of our anticipated lists, I kind of wish the trailers maybe showed less. Yep. Not that really affected my overall, like, enjoyment of the movie, but I'm like, I feel like some of these things could have paid off better if I knew nothing of it. But a massive recommendation on my part. I love this movie.